Isang bulan na mo ron chumena matagni ko ni ron ni bibo ko matagni ke misa po. Niya na isang bulan na sero ko ni sana. Chumena kino na mo ron chumay. Tu na sile. Isang bulan oyo Mr. Ben.
Kela po?
Na magkikira ni bibo mataka mo ni chikira mo ron buka may no kina diwa na Bula FM.
Ang pala.
This is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. In this bulletin, government sells majority shares in Fiji Ports Corporation Limited for over $100 million. E-governance to be fast-tracked with prepaid card system for all Fijians. And Prime Minister hails Fiji-China relationship. The government has completed its divestment of 59% shares in Fiji Ports Corporation Limited. The consortium of FMPF and Sri Lanka's Atkins Spence has paid over $100 million to take over operations. Akusita Tale has more.
The agreement signed today signifies government's first major sale in the divestment program. Following the sale, the government will maintain 41% shares in Fiji Ports, while FNPF will own 39%. And Atkins Spence comes in with 20%. This means that 80% of all shares in Fiji Ports will remain Fijian-owned.
The government will receive over 100 million Fijian for 59% of its shares in Fiji Ports. This will comprise of $99,112,330 from the consortium, and on top of this, 3.3 million will come from the proceeds of the lands that has to be sold to Fiji Roads Authority.
The divestment will improve the profitability of Fiji Ports, increase returns to shareholders and to the Fijian public via FNPF. It will also contribute to the improvement of Fiji seaports.
Following the private-public partnership with Atkins Spence since August 2013, its productivity has increased by 60%. Which has resulted in improved vessel turnaround by 33%. It has increased its net profit by almost 50% in the first year of its operations.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama has acknowledged that divestment has taken longer than planned following the initial expression of interest in October 2013. However, the key consideration for any divestment decision is the best interest of the country and its people.
The preparation of the Port Development Master Plan is also an important step in improving Fiji's port facilities and will further position Fiji as a regional and global shipping hub.
There are plans for expansion, modernization and development of specialized facilities to position our ports as a regional and international hub. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
Akosita joins us live now. Tale, there's also been an agreement in regards to the ownership of real estate held by Fiji Ports. Can you tell us more?
Jackie, FNPF and Atkins Spence have agreed that government will maintain full ownership of all real estate that's currently held by the Fiji Ports Corporation Limited. As part of this agreement, Fiji Ports will transfer all real estate to a government holding company, which in turn will lease assets necessary for ports operation back to Fiji Ports. Essentially, ownership of all land interest will remain with the Fijian government. All parties recognize that maintaining all ownership of port assets with government is in the national interest of Fiji. Jackie.
Thanks for that update, Tale. Reforms in the information communication technology sector have led to the development of a Fiji Pay system as part of e-government initiatives. The payment tool all Fijians are expected to use is a prepaid card system to easily pay for all government services. Maggie Boyle tells us more.
The digital era has well and truly landed, and the Pacific region is playing catch-up on the latest ITC apps and gadgets to effectively run services where possible. At this capacity-building training workshop on e-government development, Fiji is leading the way, given its 95% internet penetration, one of the best in the region. Solicitor General Sharvada Sharma says will continue to set the pace.
There is a need for a payment tool that can be used by one and all to make payments for the services available to all Fijians.
This payment tool, according to Sharma, will be a prepaid card system which would allow Fijians to make their payments online and at the various government departments. And that's not all that's on the list.
Our laws were last revised in 1985, and since then very little has been done to update, revise and consolidate these laws. With the help of expert law publishers, we are in the process of updating and consolidating our laws and making them available online.
This is in addition to the digitisation of 3 key services: the Volani Kawambula, the birth record of all Indigenous landowning units, the registration of land titles and the registration of companies and businesses. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
The Returned Soldiers and Ex-Servicemen Association is calling on government to increase the yearly funds allocated to them. This was raised by President Ratupeni Volovola during their annual general meeting today. Ali Kimbia has more.
The Returned Soldiers and Ex-Servicemen Association is grateful that the government is considerate of their plight, but the veterans are still finding it hard to cope.
We feel that the amount that we are receiving is not quite enough to meet with the cost of living that seems to be escalating all the time. So that is probably one of the big reasons, one of the big issues that we would like to draw government's attention to.
Its member of the Ex-Servicemen Association is currently receiving $199 a month. Volovola says this is not enough.
Which, as I'm sure you can appreciate, is just not enough to cater for everyday living. Because that's a monthly contribution that we receive, monthly amount which we receive, and we keep on asking government if they can consider increasing the amount.
The ex-serviceman has highlighted that they are also working with the Republic of Fiji military forces for compensation of injuries, as this has been an ongoing issue. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama has thanked China for respecting Fiji's sovereignty and for being a steadfast ally when all our traditional partners abandoned us. Fiji and China today celebrate 40 years of bilateral relations. Eleanor Trangaivu reports.
4 decades ago, Fiji and China forged a formal diplomatic relationship that remains strong to this day, becoming the first Pacific Island nation to establish ties with Beijing.
China has been a steadfast ally, standing by us when we chose to alter our national compass and our traditional allies turned their backs on us. It was there to support us as we looked north and expanded our links with the world beyond our immediate neighborhood.
Speaking at the 40th anniversary celebrations, the Prime Minister says Fiji and China have mutual respect for each other's rights and sovereignty.
Fiji especially values China's respect for the central tenet of our foreign policy, which is to be enemies to none and friends to all. We have no desire, as a Pacific small island developing state, to be drawn into the conflicts of others.
Bainimarama also took the opportunity to ask China to side with Fiji and the Pacific as they tried to persuade industrialized nations to see drastic cuts to carbon emissions.
No nation can presume to put its economic interest before the wider interests of global citizens the world over. So I am asking China and the other industrialized nations not only to consider the disastrous consequences of failing to do what is necessary in Paris to arrest carbon emissions.
Since diplomatic ties were sealed, both countries have enjoyed lots of valuable experiences, accomplishing a great deal from the relations penned in 1975.
We now cross over to Eleanor, who is at the Grand Pacific Hotel, where a reception is being held to celebrate the 40 years of relations. Elle, can you give us an overview of Fiji and China's relations over the years?
Jackie, looking back on the journey the bilateral relationship has come through over the years, we can only see it getting stronger and as well as gain support. Now, over the course of the 40 years, there have been 50 high-level visits between Fiji and China, and the Chinese Premier Xi
Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Vorengem Bainimarama have met 4 times and paid a successful visit to each other's country in the last 12 months alone. The bilateral trade volume reached $340 million in 2014, a 150-fold increase compared to 40 years ago. China has also made a number of various donations to some of our sectors, like the health and agriculture sector, and they've also completed a number of big projects like the Navo Hospital, the Nandarivatu Hydro Scheme project, as well as the low-cost housing project. Now, Jackie, over the last 4 years, we have witnessed a fruitful and successful cooperation.
Still to come on FBC News, rebuilt jetty connects the people of Yasawa to the mainland.
मेरा चांद मुझे आया है नजर, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। छाया है नशा मेरे आंखों पर, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। रह जाए ना प्यासा मेरा प्यार, मेरे बाहों में भर दे मेरा यार, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। है दोस्तों, मैं हूं जितेन शांडिल। आप रात के बाद हमारे साथ अब रफ्तार प्रोग्राम में 3 से लेकर रात 7 के बीच शामिल हो सकते हैं। मिर्ची एफएम, इट्स हॉट।
After being damaged by 2 major natural disasters, the Yasawa jetty is now complete and ready for business. Prime Minister Vorengem Bainimarama officially opened the 125-metre jetty yesterday and has called on the people of the island to be ready to embrace new horizons. Madhumbolai Tamana reports.
In its initial stages in 2010, a huge storm damaged part of this jetty. But then in 2012, Tropical Cyclone Evan ravaged the western division and the jetty was completely destroyed.
I'm delighted to be here with you today to finally celebrate the official opening of your new jetty, a $2.6 million link to the outside world. As you all know, I visited you in the immediate aftermath of the cyclone to assist and to assess what was needed to get you back on your feet. And while I was shocked at the destruction, I will never forget the spirit of optimism and determination that I encountered on that visit.
The jetty has a head and landing area of 72 square meters. It can accommodate vessels with a draft of up to 5 meters. This is to ensure that vessels of a substantial size can berth at Yasawa in the future.
Not only will that ease your journeys to and from the mainland, but it will also enable cruise ships to visit the island again and provide you with a source of income. So it is a huge economic boost to Yasawa, empowering our people and giving them the means to improve their lives and the lives of their families.
The Prime Minister urged those who live in the cyclone-prone district of Fiji to be prepared and ensure no lives are lost as we embark into the cyclone season.
And that is my message to every Fijian. Be prepared. We must never take anything for granted, especially as we move into the traditional cyclone season as we are now.
This $2.6 million investment by government has been heralded as the catalyst in bolstering economic activity in the Yasawa group of islands. For FBC News here in Yasawa, I'm Madhumbolai Tamana.
Yasawa was a hub of joy and merrymaking as the villagers celebrated the opening of the $2.6 million jetty. Men, women and children flocked the village green to get a glimpse of Prime Minister Vorengem Bainimarama doing the honours.
We are very thankful that our jetty is now open and we are very happy here in the district because it means new business for everyone.
I am very happy today that our anxiousness and worries have been met, and we are thankful that our jetty has been opened because this opens up new opportunities for us.
Bainimarama also held a Talanoa session with the 6 villages on the island on how the government can lift its service delivery. 26-year-old Choseteki Narumbe of the Mbati, Nasinu, who fell from a Suva apartment last Saturday, died in hospital on Tuesday. Police say reports surrounding the death of the deceased are unclear at this stage. FBC News understands the deceased was with an employee of the New Zealand High Commission in Suva when the incident occurred. The New Zealand government provided an immunity waiver to allow the employee to provide a statement to the Fiji police to assist in the investigations. A post-mortem has not yet been conducted. Concerned about the decrease in mature fish caught in Fiji waters, the Wildlife Conservation Society has been training spawning surveyors. 35 participants from Ministry of Fisheries as well as student researchers have spent 3 days learning about fish stocks and preservation at the University of the South Pacific.
A number of species were highlighted for survey, including kawakawa and donu. The training included theory and practical skills, where spawning surveyors dissected fish to understand the rate of maturity and reproduction of fish in Fijian waters. Their main objective is that communities better understand when fish mature and people do not take undersized or matured fish.
So that it encourages people to fish and not be collecting animals that have never had a chance to reproduce. They've never had a chance to contribute to the next generation of fish.
She says people do not have better understanding of marine organisms, and if this continues, there is a chance that our marine ecosystem will no longer support viable fish stock. Field specialist Yasawa Naisili says people need to know more about fish stocks, sizes and maturity.
To me, it's it's quite interesting. I've never had this kind of workshop before, where you come to realize the different length of fish and their maturity length in terms of species.
Naisili says there is a need to study the species that are important to communities. Using the skills, the participants will be able to judge what size fish and invertebrates in Fiji are reproductively mature, so they are not harvested before they spawn. Shriti Prasad, FBC News.
The Ministry of Health is concerned that a number of issues could be hindering efforts to reduce maternal and infant mortality. Minister Chone Usumate says while maternal mortality rates in Fiji are dropping, they haven't reached the target of a 75% reduction. Ellen Stolz reports.
Delays in receiving high-quality care and poor access to transport people to medical facilities are some of the major worries for the Health Ministry.
We have concerns in Fiji with the fact that a lot of women tend to present themselves very late. They're not able to identify the danger signs and they fail to seek immediate care, especially from the expectant mothers and their family members. And that's something that our staff are constantly dealing with.
Minister Chone Usumate shared these concerns while launching an infection prevention and control manual, which the ministry hopes will bring about effective change. The 4 key issues in the manual are managing infections, roles in infection control, principles of infection, and evaluating infection control.
Doctors tell me that the causes of these maternal deaths are because of hemorrhage, sepsis and infection, which is one of the reasons that we're here today, hypertensive disorders, abortion, and there are a whole lot of other causes that are involved.
He also thanked the Australian government and the team from Fiji Health Sector Support Program. Fiji's maternal mortality rate, 44 per 1,000 births, a reduction of 50% from 1990, but still not enough for the ministry. Infections gained from receiving care at a maternity unit is one of the significant contributors to the maternal and infant mortality. Ellen Stolz, FBC News.
Sports is up next. Here's Jamie with the latest.
Thank you, Jackie, and good evening in sports after the break. The latest from the Fiji football side as it prepares to leave for Vanuatu. And Fiji Sevens squad to field 2 teams at this weekend's Madawata Sevens. This and more coming up.
Nimbula bina na turanga na marama na turbugi na ngone lewa. Nimbula bina rangone. Karuita kini marata iti ronda bivingomi na bio liba ni Radio Fiji 1 na bai biti na bonga ni bianu yano. Oya upio ratuanga na mni daun bengravi. Na makia mo na ono kita tiri karua moni tiki na barumbuka. ene wasini ngolo baru taki kilo manikor ilutu na karomo.
The Vodafone Fiji football side have pretty much wrapped up preparations at home before its first match against Vanuatu this week. Josephine Navula caught up with the team today and joins us live now from our Nandi studio. Josie, what's the latest from the National Football Camp?
Jamie, the team rounded up its last training session earlier today and marched straight into the boardroom for a bonding session. Frank Farina is happy with what he has seen so far despite missing striker Sevak Talisau, who has been dropped. We caught up with the former Australian coach on the team's chances of a strong finish at the upcoming playoffs.
The calm before the storm, the Vodafone Fiji football players look geared up for the match against Vanuatu this Saturday. Coach Frank Farina says they will be banking on teamwork.
It's not about one player or two players, it's a squad thing. So I'm very happy with the way that the boys have trained and the squad that we'll take. Malachi Tiwa has a bit of a problem with his foot, but hopefully he'll be okay.
Farina has introduced a new brand of football which has worked well on the field and has stuck with the players throughout the training sessions.
Be very strong, but to counter-attack quickly, play possession football, move the ball quickly, and in transition, when we lose the ball or we win the ball, that we react really fast, and that's the style of football we want to play.
The team flies off to Vanuatu tomorrow with the first match on Saturday in Port Vila. They meet again next Wednesday for the second and final match. Josephine Vula, FBC Sports.
The people of Lambasa will get a chance to see members of the Vodafone Fiji Sevens training squad in action next week. Coach Ben Ryan will field 2 teams in the Madawata Sevens tournament, from which he will select a 16-man squad to prepare for the opening leg of the World Series in December. Charlie Ndaudakaraka has more.
After a successful outing in Ovalau last year, Fiji Sevens coach Ben Ryan has opted to take his outreach program to Lambasa this year, where the team will also participate in the Madawata Sevens tournament.
Busy all round, but no, we're delighted to have the opportunity to. It's part of our plans. Last year was Ovalau. This year we're in Lambasa. I hope we get some more trips to the north, maybe, and to the west. Certainly, there's a plan to have a competition in the west before the Olympics. So, as hopefully everyone's seen, we don't stick ourselves in the Suva corridor and don't move. We try to travel.
It's not all fun and games, as these players will be competing for places in the 16-member squad for the World Series.
Always still looking to get more quality in there, but I think most international teams will be very envious of the talent that we've got training at the moment.
Subrel Park in Lambasa is expected to be filled to the brim next Wednesday and Thursday when the squad arrives, with each player coming in with a stern determination to be selected for the World Series. Talento Takavaka, FBC Sports.
Recently appointed coaching director women's rugby, Chris Cracknell, is enjoying his term so far. Only a month into the job, the former England captain says it's been quite a challenge to prepare a team with the Women's World Series and Rio Olympic Games coming up.
We've been in camp for 8 weeks, and predominantly that was based around fitness and getting the girls fit, because I know what an abundance of talents they have, and then in recent weeks it's been about making sure we put that talent together and get the right combinations, where Alessa has been fantastic in that and helping me understand the players better and what their tells are, and making sure that our core skill level is up to standard.
The 12-member Fijiana side to compete at the Oceania Sevens will be named tomorrow afternoon in Suva. The second Drag Wars car race will be held this weekend. This is the first time in Fiji Car Club's history that 2 Drag Wars will be hosted in 1 year. The first Drag Wars for this year was held on the 13th of September, and demand from members have forced the club to organize another one.
We normally have only one every year, but the demand is so high. In the last Drag Wars, we had 35 cars that took part, and we had about 700 spectators that came to the gates. So it gave us an encouragement to hold another one before we end our racing season.
The races begin at 11 a.m. on Sunday at the Nanuku airstrip in Pacific Harbour. That was your sports for this evening. It's back to Jackie now.
Westpac Fiji has again committed to recognising women's contributions to the business sector by sponsoring the Women in Business Awards 2016. Women in Business President Dr. Nurbano Ali says the awards have become a significant event in Fiji's calendar and encourages women to achieve greater visibility in key roles in organisations and businesses. This, she says, must be applauded and recognised to encourage women to thrive in commerce.
Women have to be able to participate on an equal basis for any position in any organization and to feel unafraid to grow their businesses equal to none. The common denominator should be the person and not the gender when it comes to picking the person for a job or a financial investor to support a business.
Westpac has given $70,000 in sponsorship. The Fiji Sugar Corporation has crushed a total of 1.7 million tonnes of cane this season, out of which a little over 200,000 tonnes of sugar has been produced. Sugarcane Growers Council Chief Executive Sundaresh Chetty says this figure is remarkable. Chetty says the current dry weather in the Western Division has kept the tonnes of cane per tonnes of sugar, or TCTS, below 8.3. Meanwhile, good news for cane farmers. The Fiji Sugar Corporation has confirmed to FBC News that farmers will receive a payment of $2.80 per tonne for the last crushing season. The special cane payment will be made on Monday. Clear blue skies and light scattered clouds were the order of the day across Fiji. Temperatures, humidity made temperatures feel warmer. Lambasa the hottest at 34 degrees. Other major centres were in the high 20s, leaving Savu the coolest at 28. Tomorrow's forecast is the warm weather is here to stay. Expect some overnight or early morning rain in the east, but if you are going west, sunny and clear. And the outlook for Saturday, much the same weather for the weekend, but with greater chance of showers. And the main stories again. The consortium of FMPF and Sri Lankans Atkins Spence has paid the government over $100 million to take over Fiji Ports Corp operations. E-governance to be fast-tracked with prepaid card system for all Fijians, and Fiji and China celebrate 40 years of bilateral relations. To our poll question this week, we're asking, should fireworks restrictions be relaxed from 2016? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. And before we go, Fbctv will bring you the live coverage of the national budget announcement in Parliament tomorrow. Our coverage will begin from 9:30 a.m. Do join us for that. Till then, bye for now.